ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, people on the Ferris wheel in the back of the line holding your ticket and clutching, just waiting for your opportunity. Just know that we got you while you're waiting on the ride. It's Wednesday, so you know what that is. It's the Bold Prediction Sports Media Podcast, and it's a special episode. Special episode, one I'm excited about. As traditional, get this out the way. You know I'm gonna do with the beer. That's Mr. Casey. But if you look down there, that is our special guest, my dog Frank. You've seen him on the show before if you've been rocking with us since day one. He's our what I like to call our resident Niner. Dude, Frank, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back, especially on this big week. Got the Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Let's go.
I mean, how does it get bigger of a week than this, right? Like, we see the 49ers and the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, and you know what the first thought is? Frank has to be back.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we all live for, right? This is the golden ticket.
Right here.
Win, lose.
What, 6 months getting up to this point? Let's go.
Let's go, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the build up.
Yeah.
Let's face it, as Chiefs fans, as 49ers fans, at the end of the day, we're still in the Super Bowl, right?
Man.
We're still out here watching the big game, win, lose, or draw.
Man.
And all these other teams are sitting here looking at draft prospects, thinking about these free agencies. We ain't talking about none of that on this show. There is no free agency talk, no draft talk. The season's not over, folks. This is the game.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's far from over. And I expect this thing to be a spectacle in amongst itself, just like the last matchup was. It was fireworks. I've often been quoted on the show. We talked about it here. The San Francisco 49ers being the Chiefs of the NFC. I've been quoted saying it. Mr. KC never let me forget it, even though I would pick against them Niners all the time. He never let me forget it.
Yeah.
But, dude, this matchup, outside of quarterback, it's amazing. I don't know what else to say, really.
It's almost like the exact opposite of the last Super Bowl against the Chiefs for the Niners. Like, you guys are a top defense now. Your offense isn't as good as it used to be. Our offense all of a sudden knows how to play ball. Like, we're in top five in every category. Like, it's the exact opposite of what it was before. Like, it's a crazy situation. These two franchises just know how to win.
How to win,
Man,
out of a doubt.
Yeah.
Two great coaches, to say the least. Here, dude. Without shadow of a doubt, should be a slobber knocker. And let's talk about the season. Well, we'll let you talk for a moment about the season for the Niners. A few ups and downs, but finishing with 12 wins is not an easy feat in the NFL. It's something the NFL hardly lets the Kansas City Chiefs get. They'll let us get a Super Bowl, but no, you can't get that 12th win. Kind of talk to us about the Niners season and what you thought and how you want to recap it.
Looking at like this season, there was a lot of great stuff. There was that 3-game skid in there against Cleveland. That was in that first one. But I mean, you got to put that on the kicker at that point because I mean, Purdy didn't have a great game that one, but everybody like started turning on him when we had a game-winning drive. A kicker just missed. Vikings, we should have won that game, but stuff happens on a Monday night, especially coming after a loss. And then there was no way we're going to beat the Bengals. I mean, that's one of the weakest things for us is going up against, great wide receivers, and they got Jamar Chase. Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
Jamar Chase is no joke. He's one of those top 10 guys for sure, without a question. And most people would have him in the top 5.
I think you could easily put him as a top 5, especially so young and everything. He's hard to cover. And that was when Burrow was still playing. They were kind of starting to turn their season around a little bit. But
they was working on it for sure.
Yeah,
still heading to the inevitable crash.
Yeah, that was a rough start for the Bengals. They were not looking.
Started looking like it was turning around, and then Burrow gets hurt. They're done. It's just over. Just crash and burn.
There was 5-5 then, and then there was no turning around after that.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen like teams could turn it back from. I mean the Bills turned around their season being like kind of the same record.
Just like barely, didn't they?
Man.
That was we really didn't think they were going to make it. They were looking outside in, and one win. They lose one game and they completely miss the playoffs. And it's wild to think, going into the season, Bengals and Bills don't make the playoffs.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, you
know.
would have almost
And I
guaranteed those
was,
two would have been
and I
division
was,
winners.
and I was praying on it. I was hoping for it, and
Yeah, dude.
I was just one
Mhm.
off
Beard
because
picked him
if
not
I would
to.
have nailed both, it was upset alert season.
Yeah.
Yeah, he picked both of them not to make it, so I got to give him those picks. My highlight, I did get the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl pick,
Mhm.
correct. I do got to admit though, I did finally bail out NFC Championship game.
You started
I
being a Lions
I
bandwagoner a little bit.
no, I've been on the Lions bandwagon for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, in my defense,
Okay.
I have. I mean, it was the first time I was like, well, I did pick them preseason, but I think I'm finally going to give it up. And I should have held on to my little lottery ticket, and
I mean,
I'd
as
have
a
been
Niner
better off.
fan, that NFC Championship game, that bottle of Jameson came out a little earlier than I thought it was going to.
Hey,
Like I was that
I'll
first
take
half,
a
I was
shot to
just like,
that.
oh man, I don't know how this is gonna go. That was a crazy turnaround in the NFC Championship game. So
He
But
said it came out a little early. He said the
yeah,
boop to get this
yeah, I was
thing
like,
ready.
I'm getting this out now. I gotta watch this. This is a whole another half of whatever this is. Like, come on.
You made it through it though.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys, Brock Purdy coming back, 2 big comebacks, and I really, in my heart, I want to make fun of the teams that y'all played. Right? I want to be like, look, it was just the Packers, it was just the Lions, but shit,
But
we didn't beat them. You know
and
what I mean?
Neither
We didn't
one.
fucking do
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Neither one.
and then you had Green Bay, who all of a sudden, just like second half of the season, they started playing great ball. Like they started showing up.
Fuck me, man. Fuck me.
There's a
They-
dude.
I picked Jordan Love to be a bust. That was one of my flagship moments. I said, Love ain't shit. We already seen what he can do. He ain't shit. They fucked up, and he proved me fucking wrong.
That team's gonna be
mother.
dangerous for a long time.
Jeez, young too. Young.
Young team, gonna be around for a while.
And shout out to you, Jordan Love, because the dude with the beard always believed in me. Like I said, I just had to see what you could do. But once you beat Pat, I knew it then. Like I said, the anointing Mr. KC gives. And he didn't already bless you twice over the season. I don't know how he didn't see the rest coming. So there's that. Shout out to Mr. KC for helping Jordan Love to get to where he's at today. He was a key instrument in that upgrade. Shout out, man.
Well, I think since the last time I've been on this show, I met D'Amico Ryan at my job during the summer, and got to talk to him real quick and be like, "Hey, man, you guys had a great draft." So I've been taking credit for the Texans season all year, as me shaking his hand and telling him they had a good draft. So.
And this is why you come on the show, because me and Mr. KC, it's all been talking about Texas. See, I am the Ohio State fan.
Mhm.
So once they took CJ Stroud, I said he's the best quarterback in the draft. The Panthers are shooting themselves in the face and the foot and every other spot they can. CJ Stroud, once they took him, we said it. I said they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, they turned around with him and Anderson. They turned it around. There's also something going on in Carolina, like, obviously, because how can Baker Mayfield be there and they have him, doing scout defense, and now he's on the Bucks and he's like a guy. Like,
it's the same case of what we've been talking about. I keep saying, and Mr. KC agreed. You need to throw the dynamite in the front office. It's the front office. It's the front office, the back office, and the office. Whoever's looking out the window, it's their fault. It ain't the players. Besides maybe Bryce Young, because I don't believe in the Alabama quarterback system. That's just me personally. Show me a successful one, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, dude, it's definitely the front office. It's everything about it. It reminds me of how the Commanders was, and kind of still is.
Yeah, it's just about how you're leading your organization. And I mean, there's some obviously going on there. If you have literally Baker Mayfield, those pictures of him doing scout defense, hand in the dirt like he's a D end, and now he's in the playoffs this year with the Bucks. Like, come on. I mean, the NFC South is a weak division, but still, like,
they won a playoff game. They beat the Eagles.
That's not the defending NFC champions took them to the river.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the Eagles were gonna come on, after the Niners put an ass whooping on them, that was kind of over for
They,
them.
it
They were
was kind
done.
of
And no offense to y'all, I agree with that, but they was done after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I told them that. I said, bro, I've actually picked them not to make the playoffs either. I'm
Mhm.
actually surprised they limped their way in. So
Well, I mean, didn't they start off the season like 10-1 or something, and then they played the
yeah,
Niners, and then it was just like
same tradition.
I think
downhill.
it was Bosa who said we put out the blueprint. Now everybody can just follow it, and that's pretty much what happened the
Oh,
rest of the year. They almost lost every game after
oh,
the Niner game.
Yeah, just about.
The
Yeah,
only one they
Mark
won, I
became
think,
an-
was against the Giants, and they almost blew that game on like a last second like
yeah.
defensive stop against the
And
Giants.
right.
and no offense to the Giants, but the fucking Giants. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
Right,
Like, let's
and
be
my thing
honest
is,
here.
Yeah.
if Vanilla Vic was playing, they probably would have won.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
hmm
I'll stick to my statement on that. Put Vanilla Vic in. If he
Yeah.
wasn't toe up, they would have
Yeah.
won. But anyway, y'all know I'm not a believer
Yeah.
in that Eagle product either.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of overrated systems out there, and primarily the main focus is the one in Dallas. Like I said, I can't get past it every year. Like
Yeah, they're
it's the
just.
same thing.
I mean, they're choke artists at this point. Them Cowboys, they just.
Yeah, man.
You can't
You
fire
stuck with
Jerry
it back.
Jones, but maybe it's time to fire Jerry Jones. Like, let's be honest.
Right, there's no way y'all can vote him off the panel,
Yeah.
like and like take his 51, take his
Mhm.
last percent, and
Yeah.
make it like you know what I mean. Whatever's holding it.
Yeah.
Good
But,
night. We're gonna see.
I mean, this is going to be like this year has been interesting for sure. I mean, it's two juggernauts in this Super Bowl, definitely. I did think the Ravens were going to have your guys' number in the AFC Championship game, though. And I mean, they also decided to not run the ball at all, which was probably the dumbest thing to do against your KC defense. But,
Craziest. 6 times.
like, why would you?
6.
I mean, looking at the numbers for your guys' defense, like if there is a weakness, it's your running defense. And
Mhm.
I believe you're like 17th ranked in the NFL against the run.
Yeah.
And you decide to take one of the best running teams and go, yeah, we're just going to pass it a lot. Because why?
But
We're
you
down.
do-
We're panicking.
You do know that's what happens when you're down, and that's the problem. And I think that's going to be one of the keys to this game is if San Francisco, if you guys go down 7 points, 10 points, 14 points, can you still run the ball, or are you going to do what the Ravens did and completely abandon the run?
What we do have different as a Niners team is we have CMC and Debo, which you can just give them a little screen pass on the outside and anything can go for 70 yards instantly. Like you don't have to always run it under center and everything. You know, you can kind of get out there a little bit more. And let's be honest, our running backs and Debo are probably better position players than anything that the Ravens have right now. You know,
Probably so. I'd agree
Debo
with
and
that.
Ayuk are, you know, would instantly be number ones on the Ravens. I mean, I like Zay Flowers as much as the Nest
Yeah.
guy, but come on, they're better than him. And who was left for the Ravens? They always have their running backs get hurt every year. Dobbins, who I thought was going to be a guy this year, instantly gets hurt week
Right.
1, I think, with his Achilles. That's nothing compared to a CMC. So, I mean, it's about what's going to have to come down to is not going away from that running game and trying to hit it like that, you know. We also saw the Niners come back from being down a lot of points in this last, you know,
A lot of
both
points.
playoff games. They were down a lot and managed to kind of keep their game plan going and go. So
Yeah, but I think Christian McCaffrey is the X factor for the 49ers because in my mind as a Chiefs fan and what I'm seeing is with the cornerbacks of Kansas City, I feel real confident against Debo Samuel and like just pretty much the whole squad and Ayuk too.
Really?
Like
Yeah,
because you
exactly.
have Snead and McDuffie for the corners on the Chiefs, and I just feel like
And
you
don't
know
forget
Kittle.
Watson.
You
Don't
got
forget
Kittle
Watson
too. You
either.
guys, yeah, Watson ain't no joke either. You know, he's an underrated corner. He was in the Super Bowl last year and performed excellent. You know, that's a 7th round draft pick that people forget about for the Kansas City Chiefs because Snead and McDuffie's been doing so well shutting things down. Now, I think Kittle could be, you know, like he could be a problem. And CMC could be a problem too. And I think he's the biggest thing. because, like you said, the run defense for the Chiefs is really the only suspect part of the Chiefs defense. Like the pass rush is pretty strong. This is the first time we've seen Chris Jones have a double digit pass rusher next to him since D Ford, and Justin Houston. And that's, 5 years, that's before the 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl even. That's how long it's been since he's had any kind of legitimate help next to him. So I really like the Chiefs defensive line. And I get worried about the 49ers offensive line, because you got the Mahomes versus Purdy, that's not a debate, obviously, right? But I think
Purdy's better, right? We all just agree Purdy's better.
we all agree that Purdy's clearly stepping on, the greatest Trent Dilfer performance of all time. Like it's just really what it is.
Brad Johnson-esque, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it's reminding me of. One of my questions to you that I kind of wanted from a 49ers fan is, do you think this team is better than the last 49ers team in the last Super Bowl?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I like Brock Purdy 100 times more than I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, that is just Garoppolo is garbage. Like, let's just be honest here. We saw what he looks like when he's in the Raiders now. He's nothing. Yeah. I mean, the Raiders team is a bomb anyway. But like
that's the front
not,
office situation.
I don't
think that's a talent situation.
I watched Jimmy Garoppolo on our team for 4 or 5 years, and he was guaranteed every game to throw just the worst interception you could possibly throw at least once a game. We're talking about a player who had a safety and a pick six on the same play. Like, he's terrible. Like, he's not.
That is pretty fucking rough.
Like that's an impossible thing to do, and somehow he was able to do that in a play. Of course, it only counts as the safety, but still, like he's just not that good, and it's got a lot to show with the Shanahan system that you can win games with a guy like Garoppolo back there. But
he wins a lot of games with Purdy.
But I mean, he won. Like when last time we were in the Super Bowl, he threw 9 passes against the Green Bay Packers. It was like 9 or 13.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
I remember that. Yeah. It was a ridiculously low number. Like,
he didn't have to do anything. And that was with a team with Mostert as the running back. Not even like a CMC.
But Mostert was pretty legit during that time. Yeah. Because I remember the Niners, like the run team was supposed to be, it's almost the same story. Yeah. Like it reminds me of the same story. Kittle's a better blocking tight end, right? So, and the better run team is supposed to make the Niners win the Super Bowl. That's what we said last time. And really that we didn't see it happen. And I feel like, we're almost on that replay button where we're like, all right, all we need the Niners to do again this time is run the ball. But I do agree with you that I think Brock Purdy is probably at the very minimum, at least a slight upgrade on Jimmy G. Oh. I kind of view them as both of that kind of like fringe top 10 category of quarterback, which is.
I've watched this team. I've watched these Niner teams for years, and I feel a lot more confident in Brock Purdy. We're talking about somebody who was actually in the MVP consideration until about that Baltimore game. I mean, he still is. Yeah, he's a top 5.
Still is. Yeah.
He's a finalist. But before that Baltimore game where he had a bad game, but I mean, that was also 4 interception game with really only one of them being just a terrible, what are you doing interception. There was 2 tip balls.
Right.
And one of them, his hand got hit too. So you could even
I thought it was 3. Yeah, I counted it as 3 tips.
It's 2 tips, and then his hand got hit on the third one.
Gotcha.
And then there was that very first one in the red zone, which was just a terrible interception. But then after that, he's pressing too hard. I think that's what he's more susceptible to. If you get him early, he's going to start pressing too hard and then get in his own head, which apparently you guys are pretty good at after watching that Baltimore game and seeing y'all talk so much shit to the Baltimore team, but somehow never get a penalty called on you for taunting or nothing. I see Travis Kelce get in everybody's face a lot that game and not get a thing.
I think I think
But you know how
sometimes,
the NFL is. You can
Hey,
initiate it, you just can't
e-
respond to it.
exactly.
right?
So I hey, I'm with you on it, but it's easy to see that you guys are capable of getting in players' heads, and that's what's going to
Right.
be
Oh
interesting. If
yeah,
we get
look
a
at
Purdy
Josh
thing,
Allen. We own that dude. Buffalo's ours. Like that thing is a
Oof.
wrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
did you guys really walk into that game feeling super confident about your chances?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
On the
Yeah.
Well,
Bills. Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest,
It's,
I already felt like Buffalo shouldn't even
yeah.
been there. So yeah, I knew
I'll
it.
give you
I
that.
said,
Yeah, they had
"What?
a weird year.
I
Good
was
night."
it's actually another topic that I want to bring up because I was confused why the Chiefs were underdogs for that game. Even on the road, I was like, I don't understand it. And then again for Baltimore, we see the Chiefs underdogs, and I'm like, okay, the Baltimore is a legitimate team. I see it more of a money line game, and here we are again.
Hmm.
I was kind of surprised the 49ers were the favorites in this game. Did that kind of surprise you, or were you like, yeah, we should be the fucking favorites, you know?
So looking at this game and how it is, I don't think you should ever have Patrick Mahomes as an underdog in a game.
Man,
He's the final boss for what is the 49ers season this year. Like it is
Probably
beating you
probably a
guys is
couple more in
what
the
it is.
future too, the way it
Like yeah.
looks.
But
right.
like this is the final boss of like, are we gonna be a team? And I honestly think
You Shao
this,
Khan. Keep
this
trying to say.
Shanahan winning this game is more important than Andy Reid winning this game. Like,
Yeah.
if Shanahan loses, this is just another loss in the Super Bowl, and that's just going to keep adding up and just keep doing this.
Is it third? Is this
This will
It'll
be
his
be
third
the
one?
it'll be
second head
second one.
coach.
Yeah. I
Third,
must
though,
say.
because he was the offensive coordinator in that Falcons debacle when they lost
Right.
God, yeah.
the
Yeah, I
Patriots.
about to say he was only head coach against us.
Yeah. But that's, you're looking at
But see,
2
I
Super Bowls he had a lead in the fourth quarter and lost.
Right. And
So if
that
right.
we
is
lose this
rough.
one, this is going to be
But shoot, man, you coaching against the GOAT and the GOAT.
Right. And
And
look at Andy
we
Reid.
arguing about the two
Mhm.
greatest head coaches in NFL history almost.
Yeah, Andy
So I
Reid kind
mean,
of had a similar
I,
resume too.
thank and
Let's
thank
let's
you.
face it,
And lest you forget, and the only point I want to make on top of that is, even if Shanahan loses, he's gonna be gravy because eventually he's gonna get one, and then
yeah.
probably
You can't
two.
keep knocking on the door
Yeah,
like that.
that's what
And
I'm saying. Because it's and just for storyline's sake, it's more important that the Chiefs go back to back to assert themselves as the next dynasty to put the whole
right.
Patriots thing thoroughly to bed. And then anybody who beats us going forward is it's just like playing the Patriots, like that was
Mhm.
most of our lives. We've seen it. Tell me who's going to be the ones to come to the mountain and slay the dragon. And y'all
Well,
might be and the Niners might be the Eli Manning who can get it done twice.
that's what I was gonna say. Isn't it just like, I don't know, Brock Purdy's kind of that goofy white boy quarterback like Eli was, just
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
different
saying.
Hey,
resumes. One's Mr. Irrelevant, one's a first
and,
That's
rounder,
what
but
I'm saying.
and
No,
we
for
are
real.
fans of Eli on this show. Like we
Oh
both
yeah.
are. Like
Big
it's,
shout out
it's
to Eli.
Mhm.
Big
Yeah,
shout out to
yeah.
Eli. He's the better Manning. I'm on record saying that all the time. I see. You imagine all them Thanksgivings before Peyton could start capturing goal. He just sitting there at the table. Peyton, could you pass the potatoes? Could you? Yeah, I want
yeah.
2 biscuits. He's just everything he's
Just every,
doing. Oh, y'all want
uh,
to hear the story about how I beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl? Good night. Like that's far more of an achievement than anything Peyton's ever done, in my opinion. Especially since, like I said, his Super Bowl record, he's only thrown one touchdown in any Super Bowl game he's ever been in.
yeah,
So good night.
yeah. I mean, Peyton's one of the greatest of all time in the regular season, but just not
Thank you. And
any
so is
Yeah.
Dan Marino. You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
yeah.
He's still
You can
alive.
Right.
still be a great, but you're not a winner when at the end of
Not
the
a
day.
win.
Well, speaking of greats, I did see that supposedly y'all were chasing Tom Brady in the offseason.
Saw that.
What are we I know you're high on Brock Purdy. You're a fan of Brock, and I don't blame you. Solidly, look, if my quarterback gets me the Super Bowl, I'm a fan. Like I don't blame you there. But if you're playing Madden, in fairy tale land, we get to be the GM for the day. Are you trading in that chip, knowing what you know today that your Brock Purdy guarantees you a Super Bowl? Would you re-roll the dice and see if Tom Brady could do the same?
Coming into this season, I was like a lot of people, you're iffy about Brock Purdy, especially after that injury in the NFC Championship game. I mean, that's why they were looking at Brady, right? Because it's kind of a miracle Purdy was back in time for the regular season.
I believe it was real close too,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a UCL tear, and that's like essentially getting a Tommy John surgery, which knocks out a pitcher for a year and everything. And it was kind of surprising he was able to make it back for week 1. Just I'm glad we didn't have to deal with Sam Darnold out there for a couple weeks. But of course I would
Maybe.
like. Of course you have Brady if he wants to come back and play another season with like his hometown team. Yeah, that's awesome. Give Brock a year to sit behind Brady as well. Like
Right.
I mean, I think Brock's gone over expectations. I mean, he's now the 49ers passing season leader and stuff.
Right.
He's
Which
had
is
a great year.
his names.
I mean, he's 31 and 11 on touchdown to interceptions this year, which I mean, you could cut off 3 of them because of that Baltimore game that we were just talking about. 31 and 8. It's pretty fantastic for a second-year quarterback, Like, I know it's not Mahomes after his year sitting back and then throwing up 50, but you can't even put him in there. We're talking about Mr. Irrelevant, who is, like all of a sudden become a great with this team. At least now he's a 49er all-time record leader, But of course, I would have taken Brady for a year. Like, give me Brady for a year. Let's see what happens. Let Brock sit. Maybe he becomes even better. He was looking really good at the end of last season too, though. Like, I think we were going to beat the Eagles last year in the NFC Championship game. This should be a repeat of last year's Super Bowl, actually. Like, it should be.
I was so disappointed in that game because I really wanted to see. Both sides were talking a lot of junk. And, the Eagles fans were so hyped after they won that game. And I was like, y'all got lucky. Got lucky. Like, if that was Brock Purdy fully healthy, we would have seen a dogfight. This would have been a dogfight of an NFC championship game.
I mean, even when Purdy went down, you had McCaffrey out there kind of like doing everything, and there's a couple of plays where he's like, I'm doing whatever it takes to like get this win, and then you couldn't do anything. He's out there throwing passes too, like
They tried to bring Brock Purdy back out, like he got that bad. They're like, we know you're in a sling, but you know what? Man, you left-handed is still our best option.
There was a chance even something could have happened with our 4th string guy going out there. It was like, maybe he'll do something like this team.
Oh yeah, Josh
Johnson, and then he got a concussion like on the second play, and it was like, all right, I guess
he was driving for him a little bit.
Yeah,
and then then he
got it was like a glimpse.
3. Yeah, that was it. I think they got 3 out the drive or something like that, and then he got cracked off, and that was the end of that.
That's another reason I don't like Garoppolo, though, because he could have suited up and chose not to, and he just didn't want to sit behind Purdy. So maybe I had a little grudge against that. But
I mean, that's a grudge worthy.
Throw horrible interceptions.
49ers keep them some quarterback controversy. They love that. I don't know why.
Hey, I'm just glad we're not taking your retreads no more. We're not taking your sloppy seconds no goddamn more. Not for another 15 years at least.
Not even after that. Patrick's son should be ready.
Hey, you done with that quarterback yet? I need some fucking help.
We getting Patrick's son. He getting groomed now. He said, "You gonna take daddy job when I'm done."
Look.
So you can only hope, right?
I got a question for you guys. With Pat Sr. now being in jail currently for a DWI, how do you think that's going to affect Mahomes? You think there's going to be any?
Well, I believe he's out.
He's already
out now.
Yeah, he's out on bail.
Yeah, he already played in Vegas.
Yeah, you got enough money.
Vegas after that.
I don't know. I would bet money you see old Senior in the Super Bowl. You got enough money. There ain't enough. You're in California, man.
Staying away from the fucking Taylor Swift and Britney, right?
No, he's probably gonna be right in there in the suite with him. That way, they make sure he's safe.
I think
you gotta protect this man.
I think technically we're lucky. Taylor Swift is gonna be in like China or some shit, so we should avoid
halftime surprise.
She's flying.
I'm telling you, and Usher gonna give her 3 minutes. She's gonna do some kind of little world tour song.
She's gonna be flying in so you guys can win, and then Taylor and Travis can take over the whole, championship
Little,
ceremony.
little,
I'm gonna propose to her on the stage.
propose to her.
This is the
Look,
second
this,
time I've heard this today.
I
yeah,
think
this
that's
is
what's
bold
gonna happen.
predictions. We
You
know.
want bold predictions? That's the bold prediction.
That's
Yeah,
the second
this is
time I heard this
this is
today. If that happened, good night.
this is why we're here, folks. So what you're hearing now is if you hear the proposal bet the over. Make sure you bet the bet the over. We're confirming.
Oh,
We're
man.
confirming now. You need to get it locked in. Get the money odds while you can. You heard the script here first, folks.
Just hit the over.
I mean, I think this game is going to be a really tough one. It's going to be interesting. I mean, you guys have some great corners. I think our wide receivers match up well with your guys' corners.
They do.
A lot better than your wide receivers match up with ours. Rashid Rice is starting
Probably.
to show out, but MVS, I mean,
Y'all got
he's
Javarius
so
Ward
good.
up there. I know that guy.
Yeah.
All
He's-
pro, huh?
Yep. It's going to come down to a lot of the O-line versus D-line matchup, as most games are. It's in the trenches, Sounds like, are you guys going to have your left guard? What's his name? Tooney?
No,
I don't think so.
no.
But
I think he's going to be out.
Algoretti played the whole last game. He'll be fine for Super Bowl. He played in the last Super Bowl.
And then you got I
But
just heard
Tooney is a bit of loss. Yeah. Tooney is a bit of a loss. He's a solid left guard.
We just blew Baltimore to smithereens without him. I'm not worried about these Niners.
Look,
Man.
That's Baltimore, man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
Baltimore.
And no offense, Frank. Y'all
ahead.
the other team on our trinket list. Y'all know every time y'all come to the wax, what happens?
All right, we're gonna see what's gonna happen. All right. I mean,
Now,
I'm still like leaning towards you guys in this game just because it's hard to bet up against Pat. But
31-17.
31-17. That's what we're going with.
I think so. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for it to come to me, and it just came to me in this moment.
There you go.
31-17, Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see how if you guys' O-line stops, holding every single play.
They don't.
Oh, they
don't.
don't. They don't.
They don't.
They don't hold
Okay.
it.
Now we're getting into some ham stuff. All right, is that what we're doing here?
I'm just saying, man.
No, they do. You're asking when they're going to stop holding. They're not.
We're the most
They're
penalized team in the NFL.
They're not going to stop. Why would they?
Why stop
If
now?
it works, yeah. If it works, if it's not broken, why fix it? Well, like, what are we supposed to just let you go by? Is that what
Yeah, that's what should happen.
That's, I think, technically, but if they're not going to call it, like, as a Chris Jones fan, I watch him be held on every play.
Holding on every play. It's just
There's holding on every play,
Right.
and especially if the Chiefs tackles are on offense. Well, I expect it, and I will be disappointed if I don't see it. To be honest with you, unless there's a big moment and it gets called, then I'll be, cussing, of course. But yeah, Nick Bosa, I believe it was the one that pointed that out. That he said, I believe they hold a lot, and he, that tells me he's watching tape. He's watching tape. Yeah.
But he flops a lot too, just like his brother down in Los.
You got to get the calls how you can get them.
So
that's going to be interesting though. Bosa bringing that up puts it in the refs' ears to either like, okay, we got to call this a lot, or it's going to keep happening and they just don't give a shit. But then everybody will just say this stuff. You also have the most penalized player in the NFL,
and that's what I'm saying. Like we've been the most penalized team. So I would say if we're holding, trust me, they're going to drop that flag.
Yeah, because Taylor,
they don't have no problem dropping the flag on Kansas City.
I think Taylor hit.
Don't realize
20 something this year. I think it was 20 penalties on Taylor this year, and last year it was 3. So some of it could be now that you're in the spotlight on a good team. You get a little more ticky-tacky called on it. So
they let you do this down in the South, but when you come out west, you got to clean it up.
You got to clean it up. The people notice. They start noticing. I hope they do hold. They need a hold. You guys got a good defensive line. It's both of these defense are no slumps. There's a reason both of these teams are in the Super Bowl.
For sure.
I can sit here and make fun of the 49ers all day, easy targets, picking on the little guy.
Right.
But let's be honest, how little are you if you're in the Super Bowl? Not, you're in the cage fight too.
You at least
You
30.
know,
Ain't that said Bad
yeah,
Boys 2? You at least 30.
yeah. He's a grown man here, boy. Yeah, and there's
No.
some stats that point to things that are definitely positive for the 49ers. One that I keep repeating and it sticks out to me, and that's Brock Purdy is 21-0 when he scores 21 points. Like if he can get to that 21 mark, that to me that's the defensive mark for the Chiefs. They have to keep them under 21 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this Niners team, it's like, as a Niner fan, I don't think I've ever seen such a good offense out there, at least statistically. Second in total offense, you know, fourth in passing, third in rushing, like third highest scoring team this year. It's really like the exact opposite of what that last Super Bowl against the Chiefs was. Like it was a team that did okay, but it was all about the defense. And now you guys are kind of like you still got Mahomes, you still got Kelsey, but you are missing that Tyreek Hill that you had in the last one. That's I mean, you won last year without him. I know.
Are we?
I know. But
And I think Rice is similar to Juju. I think Rice is similar to Juju, and that's kind of.
I can give you that one, but after that, you're kind of.
He's not Hill.
You're forgetting the X factor. Just like you, what you call him, Sean Mike CMCH. What's the formula?
Triple H. Is that right?
Triple H.
That's more like Kittle, I think, is Triple H.
Y'all forget about Isaiah Pacheco.
Kind of almost looking like too.
You forget about Pacheco, man.
Pacheco's going to be interesting to see because I mean there has been times this year watching the Niners defense against the run, and Pacheco has
running down their throat.
Because that's kind of the suspect thing for both defenses.
And just like how he was doing to Baltimore, he trashing them straight up the gut. It's gonna be a trying match. Like I said, it's gonna be one in the trenches for sure.
There is that
matchup.
I like our linebacker group a lot more than the one in Baltimore. Roquan's great and everything, but I like more than Roquan, and we got Greenlaw. And that's gonna be where it's going to come down to. I'm kind of assuming Greenlaw and Warner are going to be on Kelsey a lot is what we're going to be seeing this year in this Super Bowl. And that's going to be kind of an interesting play out.
100. That should be about 100 for try.
I don't know with Warner, man. That's going to be a tough one. And then bringing in the safety
on about 5 catches for 100, 2 touchdowns.
I don't know how he gets open when I had to watch that goddamn Ravens game. And he got 10 catches in the first half. It's like, just put 2 people on him. What are we doing at this point?
He'll find a way to slither through. He's a white mama.
I really felt like if I was playing against Kelsey, it'd be a mandatory 2 with a third on big moments. Like it's just like it's the most obvious play in the whole playbook. Like we all see it coming. It's not hidden.
Yeah, it's just gonna go to Kelsey,
and it works.
It's like the Michael Jordan thing. It says you can only hope to contain him. You can't really stop.
We are not comparing Travis Kelsey to Michael Jordan, are we? Like we're not doing that. Right?
Playoff Kelsey, why not? Why not? Playoff Kelsey.
There might be a slight.
Kelsey, we talking. There's only one guy ahead of him. And
it is just Jerry Rice.
He's a Niner. I'm about to say and that's only in yards. So
you took in receptions
and touchdowns.
But
that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about playoff Kelsey. We can talk about 1,000 every season. He should have went and got that 1,000 this year too. He should have went ahead and played. Went ahead and solidified 8 straight. But he humble.
And we need to give Kelsey.
He's Scottie Pippen in. He win his championships humbly. He can be the Pippen man.
Now we're talking Travis Kelsey's humble. Mr. I got a podcast everywhere loud as hell. Billionaire
Michael Parsons humble.
Super down to earth.
He on the worst team in the NFC almost.
Look, we actually have a standing invitation for him. Anytime he wants on the show, he's allowed. I've tweeted him.
Maybe he play here all the time during the summer for our golf tournament. in
I
town
bet actually you probably
every
are
year.
closer. Yeah,
Like, they
you
play in the
probably
golf
get close
tournament
to it.
every year at the Lake Tahoe
Man,
tournament
tell him to come
every
holler at us.
yeah.
Like I said, he lives somewhere
So,
around the corner from me in Lock Lloyd. I don't
yeah.
know. I'll see him at the
Yeah,
grocery
he's
store one day.
he ain't far down the road from
Yeah,
you.
I'm saying he about maybe 15 minutes. I'll catch him at the store one day. So we'll see what happens.
Tom Brady left, so all I got is Baker Mayfield, and that's a maybe at this point.
Dude, but
And
shout out to Baker, like we was talking about earlier, man. He did a
it,
great
it
job down there.
he lives on a different part of the city than I do.
Oh,
We don't exactly uh, we
Not
don't
going to the same.
exactly live in it. Yeah, not I won't see him
Yeah.
at the grocery store. I promise you that much.
goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
Well,
But
talking
no,
about Tampa, you got Mike Evans that's going to be maybe leaving,
ma-
which would be
maybe.
interesting.
I
yeah,
think he
he's on
stays.
future Chiefs watch. No, he's out of there. I
I
agree.
think he stays.
I think
They
Tampa
keep
Bay's
Baker.
about to
He
go young.
stays.
They got to go younger. Do you remember all that money they spent during that Super Bowl run? It's time for
Yeah.
them to almost reset and get
Well,
a little
Yeah.
younger and cheaper
you
if
guys,
they plan on staying viable. Because luckily the South is terrible enough they can keep a stranglehold on it unless Atlanta get a new quarterback.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know this free agency. I know we were talking about Super Bowl and not doing free agency talk, but there are a lot of wide receivers out there this year, and you
No,
guys got to grab you at least one.
At least, at least the bare minimum.
dude,
Yeah, because
what we need to
it's
do is
almost
trade the
criminal.
house for Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, and then we be complete. That's what we need to do. Give up the first 3 round picks and get Marvin Harrison Jr., Brad Veach. Do something right for once. Do something right for the town.
Yeah,
Give Pat his 6'4" Marvin Harrison with the 4.3 speed and the toe drags like his daddy. We need it. That's what we gotta have.
Desperately, because it does almost feel criminal taking Mahomes into the Super Bowl with this kind of wide receiver group.
It's
And
disrespectful.
it is because I wanted DeAndre Hopkins or somebody like, there was some names out there that
yeah.
you could at least made a play on, maybe a little harder on OBJ or something. There was some options, and it just they're real. The only support that we end up getting was Mecole Hardman, and shit,
Good
fuck,
night.
man,
You
yeah,
mean Mr. Liability?
Mister,
Oh
you won't see
God,
him in the Super Bowl.
we better not, and I better not see Scott Moore either, man. I heard they activate. Anyway, I need to go to.
Mm.
We'll get back to that here in a
Yeah.
moment.
He's starting to
But
bring out our
no,
biggest fears here. I know what he's
yeah,
doing. I know
yeah.
what Frank's
I don't
doing.
need.
Oh,
I don't
He's
even
like
want to do it.
Tony starting. Did you guys
yeah,
hear that?
yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
But what I keep telling you, they were saving him for the Super Bowl, man. And they need him 100% healthy. He's the game breaker. Like I said, he ain't gonna be the X factor. He's gonna be the game breaker.
We're talking
Uh
about Kadarius,
huh.
Mister. I
He's
don't know how
gonna
to line up.
boy.
Mister,
Hey, but he did his job. He checked in. That's
I
the
know
ref.
that was
The
that was
ref's
a
doing us again.
that was a bullshit call, but
But still, though, you play in the NFL. Line up right, dude. What's going on? Young
Jesse
Jesse,
wants to
you coming
know.
over for the Super Bowl? I might come to the Arrowhead Den for the Super Bowl. Maybe. I'm thinking
I,
about it. We'll have to see.
I think I might do a little tailgate stream.
That's
A
what I'm saying.
little,
That's what I was
little
thinking.
watch me get
Do something. If Frank
little.
watching, we can do a little pre-watch party before the game starts. Bloom blam. Think he
we
mad?
do a 150 person party at my job where I set up
Ooh.
a projector screen, do a buffet and everything, have like 4 75-inch TVs, do like
Good
this whole
God.
Mm.
thing. Man.
Oh,
So
so you're
It's going
slumming it.
down.
You're
Right,
yeah,
you
just
slumming
I'm
it.
just
Yeah,
slumming
so
it
you
a little bit.
slumming it.
I have to work it
Pizza
technically, but
rolls and
yeah.
stuff, huh? Yes,
Oh,
sir.
and you're getting paid is what you're telling us.
Right.
He's like, not only do we have 12,000 inches of screenage, I'm
Man,
yeah,
getting paid to watch it.
man. Well, at least you're getting
yeah.
the check out tonight. That's gonna help.
Hey,
Hey man, you know.
yeah, that does ease the blues.
Yeah, I say, hey, eases the
Oh yeah,
burden right there. So at least I make some good money, ate some good food, watch it from top to bottom. Everywhere I
hmm
look, there's nothing but screen, apparently.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
how we do it up here, man.
yeah,
Got
I
to
was
do
about
it.
to say, just another slumming it day in
Yeah,
Cali.
yeah, you know.
Good night. That's
Uh,
amazing, dude. That's amazing. But no,
So one,
I do expect this to be a slobber knocker of a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
What do y'all think? Let's start. Let's go around, Mr. KC, real quick. What y'all think about these final scores? Who wins this Super Bowl, man?
oh, I think I'm really feeling like a 34-20 Kansas City Chiefs.
34-20. That's not bad. That's not bad. Y'all heard me earlier, ladies and gentlemen. I'm more around the 31-17 situation. Frank, who you got, man? What's going on in this bowl, man?
So I was thinking about this today. I'm 34-28, going with my Niners to win this one. So we get the rematch next year. The grudge
We
match.
could,
The grudge match, right? So
I,
you
You're
said you wouldn't
1-1.
let us go back to back. We ain't letting y'all go back to back, huh?
Nah,
It'll
we're
be
I
gonna
mean,
go 1-1, and then we got a grudge match for the third one next year.
no.
that would be. I mean, there's a storyline there, right? If
Got that.
we're
Hey
gonna write a
man, or it could
WWE
be,
type script.
or it could just be like, yeah, y'all seeing us again, and then we get a
Or it could
belt.
be like the Buffalo Bills. You know
That
how
I
the
was gonna
Bills
say,
lost
but that's
four of
too
them,
disrespectful.
Oh,
right?
That's too
Like I just
disrespectful. That's the
like
reason why
I
I didn't do
uh,
it. Jim Kelly was the first thing that came to my mind. I said, or it could
right.
be
Like
Jim
yep.
we
Kelly,
just
but I ain't gonna
we just
disrespect
keep
Frank like
inviting you
that.
back on the show every year to remind you
Just
that the
remind
Chiefs
me.
keep right. Hey Frank, how's it going? Super Bowl reunion. You guys are back again. Congratulations.
Right. We're
I
here
mean,
for another one.
this game does have me nervous. I'm debating on going to put some money on the Chiefs because I lose my Super Bowl bet every year. So I figure,
Mm,
I figure if I bet on the
mm.
Chiefs, I either make money or I get a Niners win. I'll spend $100 for a Niners Super Bowl win.
Eh, I mean,
Ooh.
there's nothing wrong with
But
that.
right,
Yeah,
because you're
Hey,
gonna come up. You're gonna get paid from the job and off the bet if you
there you
put it
go.
on Kansas City. Double up,
Or I get
man.
a win. Either way, I'm
Right.
happy.
Either way, it's a win-win. I
Yep.
feel you on that.
Uh,
I will give you a
Goodness.
happy note. So, as you know, I gave up my lottery ticket. I said the Lions would win. Dude with the beard, I was giving him the pick of death. It said he picked your team, they die. And it was happening, right? He picks the 49ers. Guess what does not happen? Fuckers don't die. They win the fucking game. So they broke the curse. The 49ers, at the very minimum, broke the curse. So
Right.
give you guys that.
watching that game, there was just
Oh god.
that was a rough one to
Man,
watch that first half, man. But
that was a
No,
rough
it
one to watch
was.
in the second half when you're rooting for the Lions.
yeah, yeah,
Shit, it
It's
got real.
for
They
sure.
went from real hype to real rough real
Yeah,
quick.
and see, and
that
I
third
think,
quarter.
and this is not taking nothing against the Niners. I think they benefited from playing a team like Detroit, who was just really happy to be in the moment, versus a team who's like, no, we need to get to the Super Bowl because if not, like it
Like if it was
it
a
meant
healthy
more for
Eagles
them to
team or
win the
something.
NFC Championship, huh?
So like a healthy Eagles team or something where they're trying to prove they can get back instead of the Lions.
No, I'm just talking
No.
about as far as the no. I'm so as far as the Niners benefiting from the situation. Like I said, and not to diminish that they're just a better team. I'm just saying though they're playing a younger team who's just happy to have won their first game in Detroit, something that Matt Stafford couldn't do. And then you show up to one of the perennial juggernauts, like who's really the Niners are one of the gatekeepers, if not the gatekeeper, to get to the Super Bowl NFC. That's why I said they like the
Yeah,
Chiefs of the NFC. So,
Hmm.
like I'm saying, so they get the benefit from a team who's, like I said, just happy to be in the moment versus a team who's like, no, we're trying to go back to the moment. So, like I said, shout out to them in their season. Uh,
yeah. We
I
definitely
just want to see
benefited
how Brock
from.
Purdy rises to the biggest game of his life.
Yeah, I mean, all right. We're also talking about this guy like he's been in the league for 6 years, and I don't understand when America started hating an underdog story. I do not understand the
Right.
amount of hate he's got. We're talking about a guy who was who was 262 in the draft, the most underdog you can be in a draft. And
Kind of
now it's
Tom
like
Brady-esque, right?
Brady esque,
everybody
right?
hates his guts because he's got players around him. Like every player doesn't have people around him. Like if you
You
look
Right.
at
need
any
it.
player. That's how it
And that's
Right.
works.
why eventually, like I said, they'll get the mothership. Shanahan loses the Super Bowl, but they'll keep his job because him and Purdy will win eventually because
Mhm.
this is what the Tom Brady story was supposed to be the first time, except for he didn't get to play for the Niners. Now you get Mr. Irrelevant again
Mhm.
in the shadow of the GOAT playing for the team that the GOAT wanted to play for. He's got to win at least one Super Bowl. The story writes
Yes.
itself. He's
Yeah,
got to
it's
get at
Right.
least one. Like, good
it just
night.
And
it's right there, and I just don't understand the amount of national hate Purdy started getting.
right.
Like, I mean, I think McAfee talked about it, it's like, what happened to the underdog story?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
this country used to be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all this shit. Now we got a kid who's actually, I mean, he's got people around him, but every player's got people around him. And now
Right.
it's like, fuck him. Like, he's a piece of shit. I hate his
Right.
guts. Like,
Uh,
I don't
there
want
was
him to
a
win.
there was a quote that I thought was real excellent or real good for Brock Purdy, and that's that Brock Purdy is not an excellent quarterback, but everything he's asked to do, he does excellent. So it's like, yeah, how can you really hate on him? Like, sure, he's not Pat Mahomes, but he's not asked to be Pat Mahomes, right?
Right.
That's not his role in the offense. And what his role is, he does do very well.
Right.
He's able to hand it to CMC very well. He does handle pressure very well. He had the number one pressure rate in the NFL. You can rush him, and he's not going to be rattled
Well,
as
just
quickly as some other
depending on what
guys.
your jersey look like.
Look, you start getting hit, it'll
Yeah,
change some things for you. But
because and no offense against Brock Purdy, he reminds me of Tua, a guy who's in a good
mm,
situation with the weapons around him, who's stacking numbers, making a great run, but when the real adversity comes, how are you going to respond to it? Because he still has to have a somewhat it factor to do it.
Do
Like I
you
said,
mean
he's
adversity like being down, 17 points at halftime and in the
but
NFC
yeah,
Championship game?
you shouldn't have been
Like
down
adversity
seven.
like that?
You
Are we
shouldn't have
talking
been
stuff
down
like that?
17 to them. No, that's different. Because if we would have been down 17 to Baltimore and came back and won, that'd be
I,
the story of the century. But
So,
we beat Baltimore handily, and they still talk about how y'all came back like it's the more impressive win.
did
You
but
you
I
guys
should
will
beat did
say,
you guys beat the Lions this year?
yeah, we didn't beat the Lions. Look here,
no, and
look,
they beat a handicapped Chiefs team by what, a score?
I think it was a point, wasn't it? 21,
Oh, or
yeah,
20.
or whatever it
yeah,
was. I can't even remember what it was. So long
I think it
ago.
was like 21-20.
Right,
right.
and y'all had to battle back to beat them, so that lets you know everything about the Niners
But
almost.
but it but it also shows that Brock Purdy has it in him. If you look at some
Yeah,
quarterbacks around the league, like, do you trust Lamar Jackson when he's down 21 points? No. Justin Herbert, we watch him blow a 21-point lead. Those. I'd rather have the quarterback that can get a 21-point lead than one that blows one. I'll give that to Purdy. He showed he can at least get him back into the fight, and that's what you kind of need out of a elite quarterback.
for sure. Yeah, no. Like I said, I'm not hating on that at all. But like I said, everything's just matchups in the NFL, and that was a matchup to where they should have even been down 17. But for them to be able to rally back and do that, that's real life grit. I'll never
They
take
shouldn't
that
have been
from them.
down that much for
Yeah, I was
sure
about
against
to
the
say it
Lions. They
shouldn't have
shouldn't have
happened.
been. But to see that
But
happened and they were able to turn around and make a
exactly,
comeback is,
it's
you
grit.
know, that's
Yeah,
what you're supposed to be able to do if you're going to be a good team. There has to be those moments,
right.
you know. I mean, it feels like the goalposts get moved a lot on Purdy. Like,
Oh
well, do
yeah.
this, and then it's like, well, that's not enough. Now, when it was against Green Bay, it was like, well, you were
Mhm.
only down 10 and you kicked a field goal with like 14 minutes left. That's not enough of a comeback. And then it was like, all right, well, we're down 17, and then
Because
still not enough.
you got to think about it. How many times we see them move the goalposts on Pat Mahomes, who's undoubtedly the best, and they keep wanting to say, "Oh, well, Josh Allen's better. Oh, there's just other people that's just
Yeah.
playing better. Who's better?" But you look at Lamar Jackson's stats, and you look at Patrick Mahomes' stats. Outside of rushing, which is really not the quarterback's job, he's light years ahead of Lamar, and he's going to win
Oh
the
yeah.
MVP. And I feel you on that.
I think
The
CMC.
goalposts will continue to be moved. But like I said, I like Purdy more now than I did in the beginning.
Hmm.
Like I said, only because I haven't seen the full product. Like I said, like I said, I got to see it And then I'm like, okay, the eye test is everything. And he showed the grit to be able to come back in a comeback-esque win and win in the championship game. Can't nobody take that from him. Well, now I got to see what he do in the wax.
Right.
You got to come to the boss. You got, like I said, you got to come be Shao Kahn if you beat Mortal Kombat.
I think what happened a lot with Purdy during this whole season in the national media is the NFL doesn't want to realize that their scouts are shit and don't know anything. So let's keep moving it on him because we can't show like all these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a lot of coaches fired. Everybody that
That's what it
passed on
shows.
Lamar Jackson should be
Like-
fired. Like,
Because
if I owned a
You
team,
don't know what you're talking about. Like you just
Yeah.
don't like, and you have the last guy in the draft. That means all 32 teams passed on him, including the
Right.
Niners, until the very last pick. That
Right.
means the scouts don't know what they're even looking at, and I
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
that's why. I think that's why they keep moving it on Purdy a lot during this year because they can't admit that. Hey, maybe the scouts don't know as much as we give them credit for.
how did every
just
team
don't
miss
do it,
on
man.
Purdy?
They'll never
Every
know.
team missed on him. I'd like to have
Like-
Purdy as a backup right now. I'd feel real
Yeah, I would
confident.
take him as
You
a
know,
backup.
I'd take
any day.
him. I'd take him back up. You know,
Yeah.
like
If I
how
didn't
did that
have a
not
starter,
happen?
if I didn't have a starter, I'd take him as a starter. But
Yeah,
Right.
we're blessed to have Goat Mahomes. If we didn't have him, I would take Brock Purdy. Just like I would have took Lamar Jackson if I was one of them other teams out there.
hmm
Just like if I was the GM in Carolina, I would have took CJ Stroud. Like, bro, I don't know who's not looking at talent. I know scouts are terrible because we took McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf. That's how I know scouts are trash.
yeah.
So can't nobody tell me. Like, there's no way that we know who's better with the eye test, and y'all supposed to do this for thousands of dollars. Good
Mhm.
night.
What's the really bad draft this year was the Chargers taking, was it Quentin Johnston in the first round? And
Yeah.
it's like sandwiched by Zay Flowers and that kid from Minnesota.
Yeah.
What was his name? Like,
I think there was like 15 wide receivers after him that still produced.
Yeah.
And like
Like
it was a ridiculous stat. Like you
Yeah.
could have just picked anybody,
yeah,
anybody else. Like it just that was the only bust.
yeah,
Like that was the only one that didn't hit. God damn.
Good night.
But you know that happens to the best of us.
Right.
yeah. But we're also not getting paid, $100,000 a year to watch college tape all day and then fucking go
Not
to
yet.
the sky. Not yet.
Right.
We're
Not
working
yet.
on it. We're working on it hard, very hard. Every day we're getting
Man.
closer.
Man, because I'll go scout some stuff with you and tell Brett, if you don't get this receiver, man, we don't
Yeah.
need Cornell Powell and all these other busts. This is the guy you need to get.
Look, the email address is in the link below. All three of us are actually available for these positions. If you need Frank's contact information, I will happily pass it along. If you're a scouting department needing, especially the
I'm here.
49ers, especially the 49ers, you don't appear to need it. You guys seem to have a loaded fucking team every year. But maybe you're the Jets and you want to learn how to win, and if you pay enough, Frank might consider it.
Yeah, I might, just maybe. You have to take me away from my very lucrative job of selling Magic t-shirt
Yes.
tickets, but
Yes, yes. And so step it up. And New York's not cheap, so we might need a little, couple extra zeros in that number for a boy.
Yeah, talking about the Jets, man, wasn't their season just the most Jets season you could have?
Mm,
Let's get Aaron Rodgers and then
All
first
4
drive,
plays.
get hurt.
4 plays.
That's like it's the Jets. Like it's still the Jets.
What, $10 million a play? Light work.
Yeah.
You know what? It's Aaron Rodgers, that peyote. Good
Right.
night.
Well, folks, this has been the Chiefs fans versus 49ers fans debate. You can check out Frank at the Cinema Store podcast on YouTube. It's an excellent place to go. You want to give anything for the fans, Frank, on your way out?
Come check out the podcast. We cover, all news and reviews on the movies every week. We've got some cool interviews with some cool celebrities and stuff. But also, I'm a big football fan, so I'm always happy to chat with these guys on here. Go Niners, but if the Chiefs win, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh God. And big shout out to Frank for being
Yeah.
here. And as tradition, Mr. KC, I'm that dude with the beard, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Super Bowl review. We're gonna see what happens. 31-17 Chiefs. Let's go, Kingdom.
Let's go. We'll catch y'all next time, folks.